Welcome everybody to look at another limited edition 4K release from our video, and it is 1965's for a few dollars more. Directed by Sergio Leone, who I think we've talked a lot about lately. I do find his first two films to be really rather quite underrated in the films of Last Days of Pompeii, which he co-directed as the original director fell ill on the first day, and The Colossus of Rhodes, which is even better than the first. But yeah, this is a spaghetti western clocking in at 132 minutes long, and it once again stars Clint Eastwood, who we've talked to death about lately. So not going to talk about any more of his films, but it also stars Lee Van Cleef, who's in the subsequent film to this one, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He's also in Death Rides a Horse, Day of Anger, and another film that is going to get a 4K release, although this time by Eureka in the form of High Noon. Also stars Gian Maria Valente, who was also in A Fistful of Dollars, which is a previous one to this. We Still Kill the Old Way and Le Cercle Rouge. And finally, got Klaus Kinski, who was also in Fitzcarraldo and The Great Silence. The Great Silence being another spaghetti western. So, two bounty hunters both pursue the brutal and sadistic bandit El Indio, who has a large bounty on his head. So this is the second film in the Man with No Name trilogy, and it is even better than the first due to it improving on practically every element of its predecessor. Now, I love the predecessor. It is a 4.5 star out of 5 film, but there is some slight improvement to be made, and this does slightly improve every element of the film, while also adding enough new elements to not feel like more of the same, such as a flashback scene, which is really rather nicely shot. Um, our villain is a lot more brutal than in the previous film, and yeah, I do like the fact that Lee Van Cleef is a worthwhile counterpart to Clint Eastwood's character. Kind of feels like a buddy cop film in that regard. So yeah, it's also got a more expansive story, way better action. Um, Eastwood's character is just as strong as before, but with Lee Van Cleef aiding him, it's a really good match between them, and overall a really rather good duo. It's got an even better score by Ennio Morricone. It's got gorgeous settings, great cinematography, and even a humorous script in parts, despite the more brutal violence that is present. Although, to be honest, the brutal violence is really only self-contained to one scene, which you only see part of. But it is still quite brutal in its execution. And yeah, this is quite frankly up there with the best of its type as far as I'm concerned. So, because it is a marginally better film than the previous one, it is a 5 star out of 5 film. So, yeah, absolutely joyous film. This is probably the one that I feel like is the lesser seen film out of the trilogy. With the first film obviously being, a landmark film, one of the first spaghetti westerns, certainly the most iconic of that first initial wave, and then this being a sequel, I feel like sequels generally get the bad rap that they don't always deserve. And then The Good and the Bad and the Ugly having a completely different name to the previous two, and yeah, being as iconic as it is, does seem to, you know, steal a lot of the limelight, quite frankly. Whereas this being stuck in the middle between, a landmark film and an iconic film does seem to get a little bit lost in the muddle of things. And to be honest, I feel like this is the one I've seen the least out of the three as well. So yeah, it's a real joy to revisit it, especially in this 4K edition. So we get another booklet with this release, just like we did with the previous film, which again is really, really nicely done. And inside we have cast, crew, and The Magnificent Strangers by Priscilla Page, Time is on Nobody's Side by Glenn Kenny, Games Without Frontiers by Ariel Schulzen, A Fabric of Substance by Amy Taylor, and then About the Presentation, and then production credits and special thanks. So, yeah, along with shots from the film within as well. So, yeah, really, really good effort this one, and one that I do highly recommend. So, there's Lee Van Cleef and Klaus Kinski. And there is Eastwood himself. We also have a double-sided poster with this release as well, just like we did with the previous one. Mix of the new kind of artwork and the original. So there's a new artwork that's going on with this one, and then the original, which I really, really like. I love the color scheme that this has going with it, and then with the money down the front of it as well. It's really rather nice. So yeah, I will eventually find a place to put all three posters up when the Good and the Bad and the Ugly is released. As yeah, I'm really looking forward to finally getting that on 4K. So yeah, with this release we have the 4K disc, which has a few extras on it, and then the Blu-ray disc with all of the rest of the extras on it. So there's the 4K, and there's a Blu-ray with the extras. So no Blu-ray film, but the extras are on their own Blu-ray disc outside of the few that are on the 4K. So yeah, this has had a new 4K restoration from the original 2-perf Techniscope negative, and that means we've got a 4K 2160p Ultra HD Blu-ray presentation in Dolby Vision, HDR10 compatible, as well as newly restored original lossless English mono audio. And you've also got the optional newly remixed lossless English DTS HD MA 5.1 audio, optional English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, audio commentary by film historian and Leon biographer Sir Christopher Frayling, audio commentary by film historian and critic Tim Lucas. You got the original Italian credits and intermission break, which are separate from the main feature, trailers, TV spots, and radio spots. So they're all on the 4K. So in terms of the restoration, there's more detail in the booklet. So it's been exclusively restored by Arrow Films, and it's presented its original aspect ratio of 2:35:1. Soundtrack is presented in restored English mono as well as remixed English 5.1 audio. There's also the original mono audio track on there as well, which isn't perfect. It still has all of the flaws that it has in it, but it is apparently more has higher frequencies still there, whereas the restored version reduces those higher frequencies, but also gets rid of the flaws at the same time. And yeah, like I said, the original 35mm 2-perf Techniscope camera negative was scanned and restored in 4K 16-bit resolution at L'Immagine Retrovata in Bologna. The film was further restored and colour graded in SDR, HDR10, and Dolby Vision at Silver Salt Restoration in London. And the original film and audio materials sourced for this new restoration were made available from Produzioni Europe Associate. I'm probably butchering that. Materials were delivered by the Cineteca di Bologna and the Imagine Retrovata Bologna. An additional English picture and audio materials were made available from Amazon MGM Studios, and other reference materials were kindly provided by Jordan Krug. And principal audio restoration on the original mono tracks was completed by Bad Princess Productions. An additional 5.1 audio restoration work was completed by Borstein Gilslazen. So yeah, plenty of work put into this, quite frankly. And then we've got a whole host of extras on the actual Blu-ray disc itself. So, A Violent Tale of Vengeance, a newly filmed interview with film historian and critic Fabio Melelli. No One Shoots at the Colonel, a newly filmed interview with filmmaker and Lee Van Cleef biographer Mike Malloy. Crafting the West, a newly filmed interview with Gidita Simi, daughter of set costume designer Carlo Simi. Cuts and Rhythm, a newly filmed interview with editor Eugenio Alabiso. So yeah, he must be one of the few people that are actually still alive that worked on this film. And then you got Western Springs, a newly filmed interview with guitarist Bruno Battisti Diamario. Timeless Voice, a newly filmed interview with singer Eda Del Elso. Then for a few notes more, newly filmed interview with Morricone biographer Alessandro De Rosa. Then a new visual essay exploring the film's iconic soundtrack by musician and disc collector Lovely John. A career-spanning, hour-long interview with Sergio Leone, never released in full before, filmed by Large Door Productions in 1983. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that because that is, yeah, really interesting. That has somehow never been released in full before, despite being more than 40 years old. Then you got an on location in Almira and Granada, an archive featurette produced and presented by filmmaker Alex Cox, two archival interviews with Sir Christopher Frayling, archival interview with Clint Eastwood, archival featurette with Leon collaborators Mickey Knox, Sergio Donotti, and Alberto Grimaldi, restoration Italian style, an archival featurette on the film's remastering for DVD. So I imagine that's from around the early 2000s or something. And then archival featurette on the original American release version, location comparisons between 1965 and 2004, which is an archival featurette, obviously, and then alternate credit sequences and 4 comprehensive image galleries. So that's a massive amount of extras, quite frankly. So yeah, and quite a lot for you to sink your teeth in long after you've seen a 2 hour plus film. So yeah, excellent film. Like I said, 5 out of 5, but also an excellent release. Our video are really pulling it out of the bag with these Man with No Name trilogy films. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing the good and the bad and the ugly. Although, like I said in the previous film uh, review, that I have already seen the good and the bad and the ugly at the cinema very recently. I believe it was the 4K restoration as well. So I have no real interest in watching it again on the disc, but I will watch the crucial parts, you know, and certainly check out the sound and see what that iconic Ennio Morricone score is going to sound like on that new release. So yeah, but still going to be a fantastic film to finally have alongside these two, and yeah, complete the trilogy and have all three in fantastic looking 4K restorations, because this looks really rather great. It's probably the second best of the bunch that the Clint Eastwood films have had lately. Obviously, we haven't just had westerns; we've had Dirty Harry as well. But this is probably my second favorite in terms of the general look and the sound as well. So yeah, highly recommend getting this release if you haven't already. But if you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.